This video was sponsored by The Walking Dead Road to Survival.
Man, this zombie apocalypse sure puts a damper on my day today.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I miss back in the day when it used to be fun to slay zombies, like when I used to play The Walking Dead Road to Survival. The game kept the gritty and visceral tone of the original comics. All the decisions you made affected the outcome of the entire game.
Well, seeing as it was made in partnership with Robert Kirkman, the creator of the Walking Dead comic series, I'd expect no less.
I really miss upgrading and customizing my 5-person team of all my favorite characters from The Walking Dead, like Rick, Michonne, and Negan. I miss decimating hordes of the undead, all while visiting iconic locations from the original comics. Not to mention taking the fight to players in PvP matches and showing the world who re-deads the undead best.
Yeah, and back then, you could slay the undead with your iPhone or Android.
But all that seems like a distant memory.
Yeah, back in the day, we'd probably be thanking them for sponsoring a rental review. But now we have to fight for our lives, in real life.
Thank you to The Walking Dead Road to Survival for sponsoring this video. Check out the link in the description to start slaying the undead today. Your downloads help support this channel. Watching them movies and talking about them too. We got so many favorites and they're waiting here for you. We got movies for kids, but don't be mad because we also got the movies meant for mommies.
I'm considered good looking? Yeah. There you have it.
Video, come on down. We're right next to Caldor.
Caddyshack is one of the first comedies of its kind. There was Animal House, but then I think this was sort of early in a genre. It was the beginning of an era. I happen to have seen this when I was a kid. I was way too young to have seen it, but I think my dad was watching it with me one time, and one of the nudity scenes, he had to cover my eyes. But I remember this movie, seeing this young, this was outrageous. And I can only imagine audiences at this time, it broke grounds. It was really funny.
You know what, James, I gotta say, I'm all right, but Caddyshack is not. I do not like Caddyshack.
You're an idiot.
I think there's a lot of good parts, because they're all like SNL guys, Second City guys, all these great comedy dudes tied into this movie that was supposed to be about the caddies, with them being the funny guys, and they just kept all the top stuff in and cut all the other shit out.
Actually, that's accurate, because it was supposed to be like a youth comedy, like with the young people, but then instead it became more about the adults, which we'll get into.
I will say that was my journey with this movie, watching it last night. First time in years, seen it many times, and I don't remember one thing about the caddies. I don't remember it, but I'm not an idiot. I'll still say the movie's great, because the movie's great.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Here's the thing. This is like a lightning in a jar movie where technically this movie's a mess. It doesn't even have a plot until the golf competition happens at the end. But the whole movie, it's like you said, just scene after scene of just random stuff.
Like people remember the yacht stuff. They remember the
Gopher.
The Gopher, which they added last minute.
Which the producer was depressed about. And he was sad, and then he fell off a cliff.
Chevy Chase threw him off a cliff.
Allegedly.
The Gopher was added in at the last minute because they had this movie and it made no sense. So they invented this thread of this puppet gopher, which I remember as a kid, I loved this gopher.
Yeah. They used to sell that for years, the dancing gopher in stores. Do you remember that?
That thing?
Yeah, I do.
The guy who made that also did Star Wars stuff. The thing's a fucking Ewok.
Or is it a porg?
A porg? Oh my god.
This was Harold Ramis's directorial debut. This was the first movie he directed, and he was new, so he wasn't really treated with a lot of respect. I think there was a lot of pranks going on, and I think he had a hard time keeping the crew under control. Yeah. And this movie was notorious for all the stuff that happened behind the scenes. It was actually more interesting than the movie itself. But it was just this a party. Everybody was on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And they would take the caddies onto the golf course, and they'd have these caddy bumper car things, and these caddy wars. Basically, everybody just got all burned out. And that's why the movie didn't even Like even the actors, they ad-libbed so much of it. So much this movie was like was
I think the
done.
girl who was doing the scene with Chevy Chase was like annoyed that he kept ad-libbing, and she was already annoyed because the one producer, John Peters, who I think did like the Batman movies, he's like a notorious dick. Everyone in Hollywood hates working with him.
Oh wow.
So he like demanded she be naked in the scene. She was already felt bad about it, and then the day of, he had Playboy photographers there, and Harold Ramis like kicked them out. He's like, "Get the fuck out! We're trying to make a movie."
Yeah. I heard a little bit about that.
I think Harold Ramis, like, this was like getting his feet wet. Like, and again, I don't like this movie, but then nailed it with Ghostbusters, and then I think he sealed the deal on everything with Groundhog's Day, which I think is why.
He didn't direct
amazing,
Ghostbusters.
No, I meant just
No, but he was
writers
on
and
he was
like filmmaking.
He was a creative team on that
Yeah.
for sure. So let's just run through the cast really quick because this movie was an all-star cast in the making. So I mean, some of these people were famous already, but for different reasons. You know, Chevy Chase was on SNL. Rodney Dangerfield was doing stand-up.
Who was the best in this movie?
so good,
Rodney
so
Dangerfield's so funny.
Okay, so Rodney Dangerfield. So this was his first, one of his first movies acting. One of the other people on the set said that when Rodney Dangerfield was there, and he's doing his thing. Afterwards, he's like sweating. He's like, "Oh, I'm bombing out there. I'm bombing." Like nobody's laughing at me. And they're like, "Well, because if they laugh, they won't hear the." They can't use the sound if they laugh, so he wasn't used to that. So that was.
I think that like pushed him to be funny. Like that whole dinner scene when he like farts and he's doing the duck joke and then he gets up and he's
who
just
stepped on a duck.
He's just making fun of old. It's like he's waiting for someone to laugh, so he just keeps. Meanwhile, he doesn't know that the audience is laughing its ass off, except for Justin. But everyone else is laughing their ass off.
Oh, this your wife? Oh, a lovely lady. Hey, baby, you're all right. You must have been something before electricity, huh? You're okay. Oh, this your grandson, huh? Oh, wonderful boy. Nice boy, all right. He's a good boy, okay. And now I know why tigers eat their young, Woo! The dance of the living dead.
Here's the situation. The Chevy Chase and Bill Murray and Rover Dangerfield parts of the movie are excellent, and I wish that's what the movie was about. Yeah. But then you have this caddy under thing that's just like so weird, and then they're like synchronized swimming in a pool, and
Which I love.
None of it makes any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So anyway, that was Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase. So
He's such a dick in that.
Yeah, I know. My favorite part was the be the ball. That whole part.
No. Like when he does that whole thing.
I love how like blunt he is with everyone. Mm-hmm. Like Rodney Dangerfield's talking about how bad he is like, hey, you're really terrible. Like, or at the very end when the caddy is trying to make the shot, he's like,
don't worry about this one. You miss it, we lose.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, great.
Yeah, he's like a deranged Elmer Fudd. He's trying to kill the gopher the whole time. And I think this is one of his funniest movies.
People really like the Cinderella story with the mums, which he ad-libbed. I think my favorite part when I'm rewatching this is when he's talking about how he met the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
He's like, on my deathbed, he said, I'll achieve total consciousness. So I got that going for me. Like, that's everything until his death. He's just like, whatever, I got something going for me.
I love that part when he just says, he's like, you know what he said to me? Gunga. Gadunga loga. Like, and he says this, and he's like slowly getting closer with a pitchfork to this kid's throat, who's just kind of like trying to back away from him because he's such a horror.
Everyone in that movie like doesn't want to be near him.
Was he in like Vietnam? I don't think
he was anywhere. I think he says he was, but like,
where did he get all the plastic explosive?
Oh no.
There's there's a kind of like a backstory to him that isn't really there, but that's what's so funny. Now there was a lot of egos on the set. Like all these guys wanted to be the funniest person in the movie, and that kind of pushed them all further to be this funny. Mm-hmm. So you had these three guys mainly who were all just like competing kind of. Like I said, they ad-libbed a lot because they would just keep on going and going. And like Harold Ramis didn't even know when to say cut because the longer they ran the camera, they just kept on being funny.
Yeah.
And on the DVD, there's more footage of this. So I feel like there's more of this movie that we haven't seen.
Yeah, I think
like,
the first cut of the film was almost 5 hours long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read that.
And you're right, it was supposed to be about that. I was reading like Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's brother, wrote the movie based off his experiences being a caddy and Bill Murray's experience being a caddy.
What's funny is they actually own a restaurant in Florida, I think. It's called like the Murrays or the Caddyshack, whatever. It's a Caddyshack themed restaurant.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. Ted Knight. I gotta mention him. He's so funny in this one.
is he the judge?
He's the judge who is basically like he's the club founder. He's like the director of the Caddy Scholarship Program. Like, is that like
And then I guess he's also a judge.
Yeah.
I don't know what he is. Like, I always thought he's like a dean or something, but there's no college in this movie. It's a Caddyshack. It's a golf course.
Yeah.
But anyway,
To be fair, I don't think any of us were rich enough to be part of a country club. Are Caddyshack scholarship things, like, is that a real thing? Let us know.
Caddyshack is the shack where they keep all the
caddy
caddies.
scholarship, is that a real thing? Rich
And the thing is,
people do?
you don't see caddies anymore except for professional golf because everyone just drives in a cart now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And let me tell you, when I drive by a country club and they're about to swing, I always honk because I hate golf courses. I don't.
He says that in the movie too. He says like they were just going to replace you with golf carts or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And what's funny is the guy who says that was the like the president of the company in Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
And he aged a fucking lot in that 8 years. Like if you like show him in this movie and that movie, they put him in a time machine.
so what's your favorite scene in the movie?
Well, I mean, as someone who hates this film, there's a lot of good scenes tied together. My two favorite is where the judge is chasing the main kid out of the house because he was like, a little hanky-panky with the one girl.
Oh, right.
And they knock over the butler, and they drop the tea, like it falls like 2 stories.
Yeah.
And the one lady who was waiting for it goes like, oh, I guess that's the tea.
Yeah.
Which I thought was hilarious because she like hit it. And then the part where the bishop or the religious guy, the priest, is out in the rain.
That's always been my favorite little vignette in the movie.
Because that actor was from like old Hollywood, so they made it seem like a
I like how he
classic
says
film.
to him too, like, I don't think like the heavy stuff's gonna come anytime soon, so we can go. And it's like blowing in their face, like the wind is crazy. Yeah.
I feel
he just puts the stuff down and runs away.
I feel bad because like he was doing so good, and then he just misses at the end, and then gets struck by lightning. Yeah. I thought that was the best part of the film.
Yeah, he's having there's the best game ever, and then it's like storming,
It's like
and
not even God would interrupt my best game ever.
and then he misses the last one. And he goes rat farts.
Yeah, my favorite watching it last night was the christening of the boat, where like the wife, and it's funny because Rodney Dangerfield comes and destroys the boat, which is funny. But even before he does that, like the boat is like so shitty that the wife goes to break the champagne bottle on it, and she knocks like the fucking whatever it's called off of it. And then I don't know why, just Ted Knight and Rodney Dangerfield hating each other is so funny.
The problem with that scene is he doesn't just fuck with the judge. He ruins everyone's day.
It's even funnier. He doesn't
He can't
care.
control the yacht that he's on. I think my favorite part is the part when Bill Murray, because this is the first time I've seen this movie too. I've never watched it before, but when he finally does the plastic explosive stuff, and he's like standing by the hole, and he has the rabbit, and he goes, "Hey, how you doing, man? It's me. It's the rabbit. I figured I'd come over and like maybe we could have a couple laughs and everything." And and he's like talking to the gopher as the rabbit, as he's gonna throw the plastic explosives in there.
I like when he tries to pretend he doesn't see the gopher, and then he dives onto the hole.
Have you guys seen Caddyshack 2?
Yes. No. It's awful.
So in Caddyshack 2, they recasted Dan Aykroyd as Bill Murray's character.
If I pull the arrow out, will you please suck out the poison for me?
Oh, really?
It's
Okay.
truly terrible.
And the host of Unsolved Mysteries is the bad guy.
Robert Stack.
Yeah, Chevy Chase shows up again.
What was your favorite part, James?
Oh, okay. My favorite part was the swimming pool scene. Now,
I love
this scene as a kid, this was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so this swimming pool scene, almost everything happens. There's this choreographed dance for no reason, and then some kid throws a chocolate bar into the pool.
Baby Ruth.
And everybody thinks it's a turd. Now,
Duty.
as a kid, duty! At first, that's the first time I ever heard the word duty.
Yeah.
I was like, that is great, duty. So, okay, as a kid, you can imagine I lost my shit over this. This was the funniest thing that I ever seen as a kid. I was just laughing to tears. And another thing was when the turd lands, as soon as it lands, you hear the Jaws theme. That was the first time I think I ever heard
Like a parody.
Yeah, like parody, like music used from another movie as a parody, where like the threat of the shark being the threat of like this turd in the water.
In the water, yeah.
It just
That
just
scene
resonated.
also has what do you call it, the lifeguard who hates them, you know, and he falls in, and the one girl, when they show her topless, is on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, like, in now.
My favorite thing about that scene is like right at the beginning where it's like, caddies welcomed into the pool 1 to 115. Like, that's the only time they're giving that. And they destroy it.
Like, I've worked at, like, summer camps and all that kind of stuff, and they, you know, they call it, like, a code brown when, like, a kid or an adult.
Isn't that also what they call the scariest setting at that haunted house we go to, is the code brown?
Yeah.
I guess because you might poop.
And they do have to drain the pool and scrub it and do all that kind of stuff. That's expensive.
Which is Bill Murray, and then he has so many jobs on this golf course, and then when he actually smells it and then like eats the chocolate bar and she faints.
I was actually I was at
I'm just laughing just talking about it. How do you not like this movie?
No. I like so many parts of this movie. No, I like parts of this movie. The thing is, it's a shitty movie.
Yeah.
Example, the audio and music is mixed so fucking bad. It just gets so loud for no reason.
Yeah, no, that was happening with me when I was watching it.
They have the one girl who I guess is like Scottish or something.
I think she's related to the head groundskeeper who's only in one scene. He disappears after one scene.
Like her voice was like 80 yard or something. It sounds like shit. The whole movie sounds like shit.
Her Irish accent was bizarre.
This movie is a mess, but it's one of those like accidental hits. Sure, today there's probably so many funny movies out there, but this was really like one of the first like real funny movies of this kind. So I don't know. I would like to know if it still holds up for younger viewers, but this is something that's always
liked it quite
held
a
up
bit.
for me.
For some reason, I don't really care about like plots in comedies.
Well,
like as long as the movie makes me laugh, because I'm not taking it seriously to begin with, so I don't care about the story being all over the place.
I feel like there's 3 movies here. There's the like airplane style like Naked Gun movie, but about golf. That's a separate movie. There's the Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like about the kids going on their thing. And then there's like the Happy Gilmore, the guy who can't play golf versus the guy who's like a tight ass. They're like 3 movies in one, and the whole thing just doesn't make sense. It's fun.
Then there's a gopher.
And then there's a gopher for the kids, because you know the kids want to see weird ass nudity and.
Well, I liked it as a kid, so.
It's got everything a growing boy needs.
The real question is it better or worse than Blades?
Is that the sequel to Blade 3?
It's like there's more than one Blades. It's like Aliens.
I think a French Canadian gave us that in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, he was from Canada. He came up and he said he liked the Rad review so much that he gifted this,
which is great. It's one of the best donations I've had. I mean, look at that. Look, it's like I've never seen it yet, but I want to.
So if he's watching, by the way, hey man, how you doing?
Here, can I see that? Because I think it's
back to Buffalo.
I think it's a horror movie about like a golf course.
Movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Of course, it's trauma. There you go, Lloyd.
Yeah.
Lloyd wants us to do trauma.
Yeah,
we gotta do that sometime. Yeah.
We'll have Lloyd Kaufman.
He was texting me the other day about like. Yeah.
Why is it like the DuckTales font? Did you notice that? It's like the DuckTales font from like isn't that the DuckTales font?
I have a DuckTales tape. But anyway, we're out of time here, so
yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony, stabbing eyeballs.
Stop it!